The little menaces.
They unplugged it.
And they knocked.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know how they knocked this on the ground.
Hi,
This is
baby
just, like,
boy.
nowhere
Good
in there.
morning. He just popped up randomly. Good morning.
Look at his. He got the whole plug.
Dude, how did you? It's wrapped around here.
Like 5
How
times.
did you do that? Big man,
So
Lukey.
look, I have no idea how he can
His
do this.
ears a little red still.
So
Big man, how you feeling today? He feels a little better.
Hi.
His ear's like really red though. Like Josh's ear's like really red. Look at his
Yeah,
ear.
that's how it's kind of been.
Then
We just gotta give him medicine.
yeah, we need to continue it. His other ear is red too. Good morning, guys. Ignore me because I just woke up, like, really not ready yet. But we just woke the babies up. Oh, Baba's, you look kind of tired. But you're happy? You're happy? Yeah? Hi. So today we're just gonna be like talking about the recent events with Mr. Luke over here because he's had a really rough week. He's doing a lot better today. So I'm filming this on the 21st, and this little man had his second seizure on the 19th or 18th. 18th or 19th. It was like one of the last days that we left. And, you know, ever since, he's been slowly but surely getting a little bit better each day. And he's had a really hot fever the past few days. Today, so far, he's feeling good, but we'll take his temp in a little while. But yeah, he's had like a pretty big fever. The highest that we saw at was 103. So yeah, it definitely like wasn't good for him. I'm gonna be talking about the full story in depth a little bit later. Yes. Because it was definitely a lot worse than the first seizure for a few reasons, and like we'll talk about it. It was really, really scary for us. Yep, took #1 slot for the scariest moment in my life, basically, because yeah, it was really scary. And it's not even like we're laughing and joking about it, but it's not a joke. Like, it was pretty scary for all of us. So yeah, we'll be talking about it later, but as you can see, we have like a whole selection of medication for him because there's a lot of different things that we're trying to treat right now. He has an ear infection, and as you can see, like, his ear is like really red right now, and he also had that high fever and the seizure. So there's a few things that we're trying to like make sure go down right now. So we have infant Tylenol that we've been giving him every so often, and that helps with the fever and lowering the fever. And then we also have this organic cough syrup and mucus relief, just because his nose started to run a little bit, and so I wanted to make sure that we got that under control. But it actually stopped like in one day. Hey. We had some nasal spray from last time when he was sick because of his nose again. And we also have some Vapo steam that we've been putting in this humidifier for him at night once in a while if we feel like it could help him. And last but not least, this is the main most important thing right now. We have amoxicillin because of the ear infection. So we've been giving this to him 2 times a day to help with the ear infection. Because basically we were told that the ear infection is causing the fever, which may be causing the seizures. So we're really trying to get rid of that ear infection, yes. Because he's been really cranky, and you can tell it's been hurting him a lot. He's been like pulling at his ears. Yeah, and I feel so bad for you. He just doesn't look himself totally, like his eyes.
Let's put your brother in here for a second.
Your eyes look so sick,
say
babies.
hello.
But look at your brother. He's there for moral support. Vicky's also had a fever, but no seizures. We don't know if he has an ear infection because he didn't get checked out yet. And we can't go to the doctor's office right now because of Corona. So we're actually doing a over-the-phone doctor's appointment today for them. But you haven't been as bad. He's definitely taken the worst of it. I feel so bad. Look, he's just like, as much as he's like better, he still isn't 100% back. I feel bad.
But he's a lot better than he was like 2 days ago.
You don't even feel really hot anymore. You feel okay.
He's just running around doing this thing, stepping on.
So yeah, here's our huge collection that we've been like having to give them. It's been a lot. Duty. And they've been knocking everything over, as you can see, while they are in here.
And they throw everything out of that crap.
You're happy. Oh! Your brother.
Uh-oh.
Don't cry. Oh boy. Alright, I'm gonna go. I have to actually like sign up on this app to do the doctor's appointment over the phone. So I have to like worry about that. I have to like put in all their information and call the doctor's office and like bunch of stuff to get ready for this. It really sucks right now. Like, I would definitely prefer that the doctor would see them in person, but obviously because of the virus, we can't right now. So yeah, and just to give you guys some background, we're at my house right now because after Luke's seizure we decided to come home so that he could see his primary doctor, we could be with my family and just be in a comfortable surrounding setting right now. We needed to come back anyways because we're currently moving into a new place and we needed to pack up a lot of our stuff that we hadn't brought yet. So we're home right now, but his seizure did happen while we were in South Carolina, which was extremely scary for us. We brought him to a hospital that we had never been to before, but luckily it was a brand new pediatric hospital and they did a great job while we were there. But it was definitely a little scary not knowing like any of the doctors. They didn't know us, they didn't have none of our background, they didn't know about his first seizure that happened. So I'm just excited to be talking to the doctor that has been seeing them since they were born today. Hi guys, oh my gosh, I almost forgot to start filming again. We got Luke with us.
Zeke went down the bed.
Zeke's in bed because we could not like focus on this appointment. He just went down 30 minutes early because we needed our attention on the doctor. So basically it was kind of weird. Like I've never done this before, but I'm on this app called like Anytime Pediatrics or something, and I'm like on here live and I'm like kind of waiting for my doctor to come on here because we're a little early right now. We're like 5 minutes early. But I guess we just like text them and I think we might like FaceTime with her. I'm really not sure how this works, but it's a little weird. But I guess the whole point of this is just to see if we need to take him in for more testing because this is the second seizure and we don't know the exact root cause of it, and that's what we're trying to figure out because we're really on edge with him right now. Like anytime he seems like he's getting a cold or a fever, anytime he's just like in a weird mood, we're really freaked out that he's gonna like fall into another seizure again and stop breathing again. Well, I haven't even told you guys, but yeah, he stopped breathing during the seizure and it was super scary. I'm gonna like literally sit down and just tell the full story right after this appointment with you guys, so just bear with me. But I just want to like get this appointment done first before I can like tell you guys everything. So.
And also we were both very hungry because it's almost 1 and neither of us have eaten yet today. The baby's already had a meal and a snack, but
he's a little
he's all fed.
He's a little like rambunctious right now.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Get your finger out of your nose. Get that out of your nose. No. No.
No finger in nose.
Yeah. Oh. Oh. Oh, better?
Nope. Keep going. Hi. You getting your temperature done? That's 99.2, so
okay,
it's good.
It's actually went down a lot.
It's green, so that
today.
means it's not a fever.
Well, it's a little bit higher than like
Yeah.
healthy, but it's not a high fever at all. So literally, it was like flashing red at us the past few days because he was like 103, 102, 103 again.
But it wasn't worth it for us to take him in.
We had already taken him to the hospital. They literally don't do anything. They just prescribed us the amoxicillin and that's it.
They told us it was okay to bring him home with the fever and like just to keep him there and give him the
Yeah,
meds,
it's a little frustrating when like your baby almost dies and like you just go home as if like nothing happened.
Even though it's the second time it's happened.
Yeah. So we'll see what our doctor says today. I don't know if she calls me or if I call her. Hi. I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. So what's going on?
Mr. Luke had another seizure.
Okay.
And we were actually in South Carolina because we are moving. Big news. We are moving there. Yeah. So we got him up from a nap and he had a fever. And so we're just having him on the couch on his back, and we had a compress on his head, a cold compress, and had given him Tylenol. And he had only had it for a few hours. And then all of a sudden I just like look at him and it's the same exact thing as last time, and he's like, I can tell he's in a seizure. He's not responding to us. His eyes are just like looking off again. He was kind of shaking. And then he stopped breathing, which didn't happen last time, and his face just started turning blue, and so I was like kind of freaking out. And we had a friend with us that was a volunteer firefighter, so he kind of took him and like put him on his stomach and was like tapping his back and stuff like that, and he was just out. He just wasn't breathing, wasn't responding. And then after like 30 seconds, I would say, like 30 seconds of not breathing, he started coughing and then like coming back and like breathing again. But he was still kind of like passed out, and so we were on the phone with 911 trying to get an ambulance there. And so I was just holding him, And the entire time I was holding him, he wasn't, like, awake, but he was breathing. Okay. And then he woke up.
At the beginning, what part of him was shaking?
His arm. So it was really similar to last time, but he didn't stop breathing last time. This time he stopped breathing.
How long do you think the whole episode lasted?
Like 2 minutes.
Okay. And did you end up having him evaluated by the EMS people?
Yeah, so we ended up going to the hospital there, and we told them that he had a seizure a few months ago, but this time he had stopped breathing during it, and I would say it lasted like a little bit longer, and they were like, well, he has a fever, I think it was 102, and and they were checking him out, and they saw that he had an ear infection. And so they were like, okay, we think the ear infection is causing the fever, and the fever caused the seizure. And so they gave us amoxicillin, and we left. So we came home the next day so that we could just, like, be near you and be at home with my mom and everything. And his fever today just went down. So the fever and the seizure happened on the 18th, and today's the 21st. So, yeah.
So fever went away what day? Just today?
Today, yeah.
Okay. And he's taking his medicine okay for you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And has he had any other, like, episodes that looked like seizures since that day?
No. Like, he was definitely really tired, but I feel like that's normal. It's kind of what happened last time. And I would say today's been the best day. Like, he's pretty happy. He's playing around. He hasn't been really energetic, but again, like, he was just tired. And, He's been really good today. Yeah. It's just, like, the scariest part is, like, thinking that it could happen again if, like, he has any type of fever again or any colds. But, yeah. So the main reason I wanted to talk to you again was, one, to just let you know it happened, and two, to see if, like, it's worth any further testing, or if it really was just, like, the fever and there's not really much we can do.
Yeah, back in January he had a fever also. Is that right?
Well, we didn't know beforehand. I really thought he did not have a fever, but then he started sweating during the session. So then we assumed maybe he could have had a fever that we didn't know about, and it spiked really fast, and then he was like okay afterwards.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And any family history of seizure for either of you guys?
No, we've asked him though.
No. Okay. And Zeke is doing okay?
Yeah, it was really weird. Well, that's the other thing. Zeke also had the fever. We were, obviously, because of Corona, we were a little bit nervous. But they weren't experiencing any other symptoms. They didn't even have a runny nose. Like, no runny nose, no cough. It was just the fever.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And how long had you guys already been in North Carolina?
About a week.
So, it sounds like it definitely was a febrile seizure.
Yeah.
So, he had a fever, which caused the seizure.
Yeah.
So, if it's just that, this is pretty common, even in kids who weren't born early, who don't have any other problems. This can be really, really common.
Okay.
So I think because it's happening only with fever, at this point, you probably do not need to do a ton of other things to check him out.
Yeah.
It was pretty short. It definitely sounds like it was a seizure, but it was short, and it was pretty typical for a fever seizure. Yep. So most of the time, if we do an EEG where we look at the brain waves on kids with febrile seizures, they're totally normal. So they don't tell us a ton. So I think if he's doing okay, I think it's fine for you guys to just observe for now.
Okay.
Things that would make me say, oh, he definitely needs to see a neurologist. If he has a seizure with no fever at all, he needs to see a neurologist.
Okay.
If he has a febrile seizure that lasts longer than 15 minutes, he needs to see a neurologist.
Oh, yeah, that'd be so scary. Ooh, yeah.
It's really long. I know. And that's like a crazy number. And parents are like, oh my God, 15 minutes is forever. It is.
Yeah.
But the truth is, most are shorter than that. And so you're okay. If you want, before you leave, we can do their 15-month checkup. So you'll have 3 months. Before they'll need any more vaccines or anything. But I don't think there's anything extra we need to do right now. And that way, too, it'll give me a chance to put my hands on them and make sure that his exam is normal. Because if I were to find something when I examine him where I'm like, ooh, this makes me worry, I'll tell you to see somebody sooner. But if he's totally normal when I check him out, I think we're okay.
Okay. Yeah, what you're saying pretty much lines up with everything the hospital told us as well, that there's not too much that we can do at the point, because, like, they pretty much know why it's happening. And the only other questions I had, not even related to this, was the blood test, because I feel so horrible, but ever since the corona started, we didn't really feel comfortable taking him to the hospital to get the blood taken. But I kind of was thinking, like, before we move, I did want that to happen to make sure that that was, like, looked at while we were still here. Because I know that you said something came back a little weird last time.
Low, his hemoglobin low.
Yeah. So would you recommend that we go in and do that before we leave?
Definitely.
Okay.
Would we both be able to go?
Would we both be able to go? Okay, guys, so I just got off the phone with the doctor. As you guys probably heard me say, what happened was the kids had fevers all of a sudden. It was, like, pretty fast. They were totally fine. And then, like, on one of our last days in South Carolina, they started getting fever after we woke them up from a nap. As you guys are gonna see, I know you guys, this is, like, news to you guys, but 2 of our friends eventually came and joined us at the Airbnb because they're also considering moving down to South Carolina, so they were looking at houses with us, and they were not sick at all, and so it was okay. They had their own bedrooms and everything, but basically they were with us at the time that the seizure was happening, and I had one of them go wake up Josh. I was, like, screaming for Josh, and then one of them was actually a volunteer firefighter, so it's kind of weird how everything happens for a reason. One of them was a volunteer firefighter, so he immediately kind of, like, took over. 30 seconds into a seizure, his face started to turn really, really blue, and he just wasn't breathing anymore, and that did not happen the first time around, so this time it was just a lot scarier because, like, if you don't breathe, you're gonna die, and it's just kind of how it is. My friend, his name is Thomas. Actually, I just really need to say thank you to both of my friends because the one that woke up Josh then called 911, and he was, like, handling the entire phone call with the person, and Thomas took Luke into his arms and was, like, had him on his stomach and was patting his back and trying to, like, get him to move and wake up, and he didn't have to do CPR. He didn't really have to do CPR because he still had a pulse even though he wasn't breathing. It was just like he was holding his breath for a really long amount of time. He was really blue. I remember just, like, I stepped away and I was kind of freaking out a little bit, and I remember looking at him and it was just, like, his entire face was purple, and I was, like, just so scared for him that he wasn't going to start breathing again. And he started coughing after probably about 30-45 seconds of not breathing, and so I heard him cough. I knew that he was, like, coming back, so I kind of collected myself, went out there and started holding him while we were waiting for the ambulance to arrive. And I remember, like, when I was holding him, he was passed out. I could hear him breathing, and the person on the phone with us from 911 was telling me to say now every time I heard him, like, take a breath. And I could hear him breathing. It's just, like, he was just, like, dead weight in my arms. Like, he was not awake, really. I don't know how to, like, explain it, but he was, like, passed out. But, I mean, we will do anything that we can do to keep him safe and healthy, and that's what we're going to be doing the next years of his life, basically. And it's kind of crazy to think about because it could happen again in a few months, it could happen again in a year, it could happen again in a few days. We literally don't know. You can't, like, tell the future with this type of stuff. And I don't think I recorded this part of the talk, but there's also another issue that I haven't even mentioned with you guys, and it's Luke has had some liver issues since he was born. His hemoglobin is low. Josh is over here. I needed to confirm. His hemoglobin has been pretty low since the day he was born. It was looked at a lot while we were in the hospital. We had to take him in for testing when he was just a few months old. I never put it on YouTube because I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. It really isn't, or has not been so far, a big deal, but we are going to be taking him in to get some more blood testing, and we've been kind of, like, pushing it off because we hated it when we had to take him in. We had to take him in, like, so often to get his blood taken. It was so painful for him. It was just, like, not fun. And every time we did it, it was like the results came back and they still didn't know what was going on. They just knew that his levels were coming back a little abnormal. And
also, it's not like the doctors think that, like, levels and that stuff has anything to do with him
the seizures.
Having seizures.
It's just a whole separate health condition.
Like, at all.
And he's such a healthy baby otherwise. Like, the seizures has been the biggest health concern. And then in the background, there was the fact that some of his hemoglobin levels were, like, really low, and that they think it has to do with his liver. And, oh my goodness, it's just a lot. And it's, like, it's totally out of our control and out of Luke's control. It's just something that's been happening since he's been born. So I'm going to make a whole nother video on that because we will be taking him in to get his blood tested in the next 2 days, even with Corona going on, because it's more important that we get his results before we move, because we really feel comfortable with our primary doctor locally. So, like, we just want to do it before we leave here. So that's really it. And we will see you guys in the next video. The next videos are going to be our moving vlogs, which I have like all lined up for you guys. So be on the lookout for that. And I'll see you in the next video.